Star Wars API Explorer. Right, so what this Explorer will allow us to do, it'll allow us to search for a person, and then view all details for a selected person.
So do people just set up these sites like for practice for developers?
Oh yeah,
To
yeah.
use APIs?
Yeah, there's a Star Wars API, I think there's a Star Trek API, there's a Pokemon API, there's a video games API.
And they're just like libraries to pull from?
How do you find it? Just Google APIs or whatever you're looking for, and it usually comes up with something.
So what is the point of an API? It's not the first time I've heard the word API. I just talked to Mike outside. Didn't quite understand what's the
So
purpose to
the
have an
purpose of
API.
the API is that I want to use some sort of code or data that you have. So I want to reuse something here. So in this trivial example, is that I want to use their Star Wars data.
Okay.
So that prevents me from having to code up all this, to type it up all myself. For tonight's homework, you're going to be building a weather site where I can type in a zip code and see what weather is there. So instead of you trying to figure out how do I get the weather of the zip code, I just pass an API to zip code and it gives me the weather.
Okay. Cool.
Is there any like financial gain from like creating an API? Do people charge to use things like that?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Some of
That's
them
what I was
are.
thinking. I figured there would be a reason why people create these.
Yeah. So like this is for learning.
Yeah.
GitHub also has an API. That's for integration for developers. Developers love APIs because they can code stuff against it. Our grading system is coded against GitHub's API. But like it makes your platform more invitable, more pluggable. So like Salesforce, is it? Anyone ever heard of Salesforce?
My wife uses Salesforce.
Yeah, so Salesforce is a CRM, right? Customer relation management system. Like it helps you manage your relationships for sales. That's awesome. That's really powerful, but it doesn't do everything. Salesforce has an API that you can write code against to customize Salesforce to fit your needs. So now your core product, Salesforce, is now more flexible. So now it's more useful. So now it's more valuable. You can now start charging people for it, and it's more appealing for people to use. So I can go, hey, this Salesforce solves 90% of your business cases. You just need to write a couple of apps to cover the other 10% against it.
And I'll charge you for
Yeah.
to do that for you.
Yeah.
In other words, okay.
So for Salesforce, just
Yeah.
when you say you're writing an API, are you writing an API for people to request from Salesforce, or are you writing an API to request from other things to bring into Salesforce?
So with Salesforce, both. We're only talking about read-only APIs. We can also push data to APIs as well. Does that answer your question?
No.
Like what does
Could
API?
you, like, let's say you have an API for your business
Yep.
or something.
Yep.
Could you expand by taking somebody else's API information?
Yep.
So
Yep.
you're okay.
So that's a very actually common thing. That's called like API gluing. Is that your business has an API and your business has an API. I'm going to write something that does something with both of your datas.
Well, but I'm not doing any business.
No, you don't know about it, and he doesn't know about it, but I'm doing it. So a common example is that I built an app one time that takes a look at a band's list of concerts via an event API, and then it also pulls in weather data for those cities, and it gives you a forecast for that concert.
That's cool.
So like if you're looking, oh, this band's coming to Florida, it's coming to Jacksonville, Orlando, and Tampa. What's the best weather?
Let's kind of get the concept behind it.
Yeah, so like I don't know the event data myself. I don't know the weather data myself, but I'm pulling in those two APIs to do something more useful.
So stuff like that, the way it is, you have to be sort of not a developer, but you have to have the mind to like do the request and pull the data. Do APIs get used where they dumb it down so that users can do, like, our APIs used for like stuff like that, you should have a website to find.
The primary users of an API are developers.
Right, okay.
That being said, there's two services out there that are for the everyman. Zapier and If This Then That. Those are pretty much API gluers. And they're like, if this thing happens over here, then do this. A common example of what that does, for a while, I had it as once I got to work, I turned my phone on silent. And once I left work, it would turn my phone off silent for me.
Oh, by almost like a geofence?
Yep. So I'd use my phone's geofencing geo API, so my phone's location API, and my phone's sound API. Like, oh, once this event happens, trigger that API. A more fun use case is NASA puts out a picture of the day, like whatever like cool galaxy picture that they have. Is as soon as NASA updates their picture of the day, update the background on my phone
Oh, wow.
to be that picture.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Is that kind of like how Twitter bots and stuff work?
Yep, Twitter bots are all APIs. So Twitter has an API, and someone has written code that uses their API to act like a person. I mean, terribly, do bad things. But like that's all a Twitter bot is. It's just someone wrote some JavaScript or some code. Doesn't have to be JavaScript. Someone wrote some code that interacts with Twitter's API. So you could write a little script that goes to your Twitter and randomly posts Twitter tweets.
My roommate built a bot to take the top Reddit post for the day in a certain subreddit, like a meme thing, and then post it to Instagram.
Like that's the thing. I'm looking to build a smart poster that goes to the subreddit Get Motivated and pulls off the top picture. So I get a random motivated picture. So like that's the idea of like everything you can do with APIs is kind of gluing it together. All those are developer focused and developer friendly, but that's the primary use for an API. Feeling better? So Star Wars. So if I wanted to do this, I want to search for a person and I want to view a person's details. So I'm going to be relying on their API in two ways. I'm looking for some sort of search capability. I'm also looking for some sort of getting capability. We already saw that we can get all the person's detail. So let's see if we can actually search for a person. So I'm going to go, I've not written a lick of code yet. I'm going to go straight to their API documentation and check that out. So their API documentation. So I'm going to do just a nice Control F for a search.
Did you want to record this?
I am recording.
Good to have
You
you.
went by so fast, looks like it was.
Yeah, no, I am. So typically documentation is going to be one giant page. And you just do a Control or Command F to search it. That's a little cheater way to search an API. But here I found search. So we have and it says all resources support a search parameter that filters a set of resources. So I can make queries like this. Let's kind of look at this real fast. Because this is our first real glimpse of what a URL parameter looks like. So a URL parameter is very similar to how a function parameter works. It's a value that we pass in to that endpoint to change something and to do something that we want to do. In this case, a URL parameter starts with a question mark. And it's a key value pair. Key equals value. If I have additional parameters, I can pass in multiple parameters. After the first, each parameter starts with an ampersand, the and sign. But the first one always starts with a question mark. So I'm saying, hey, I want to pass in the search parameter, and its value is R2. So then it's going to search, and it's going to give me some results back. So I'm going to take this. I just want to see what the results are. So what am I getting back? And because the browser makes the same request as the fetch does, I'm just going to check it right here inside of the browser. So I look down here. If I look at the JSON object, I'm going to get a couple things. Count one. I'm going to get next and previous, nulls. I don't know what those means. I can guess, but I don't care. And then results. Results, that looks interesting. That looks promising. Results is an array, square brackets. It looks like an array of objects, which is pretty damn awesome, which has all the data that we have from it. So imagine if we change this from searching for an R2 to something a bit more generic like Ben. No, there's still just one. B, 19, there we go. So I just search for B. So I'm going to get everyone whose names begin with B.
Is it just a name, or could it be just a letter B anywhere
I
in the key
think
value
it's,
pair?
I'm going to guess it's just name.
Because it's in people.
Yeah,
Right?
you're in people.
Because I'm in people, so I'm going to guess it's just name. But it's a really good question. I didn't see it anywhere in the documentation. We could test it. So
Well,
how,
scroll down, maybe.
Or
it's
brown.
He
around
has
here.
like blue eye color, so
yeah.
Yeah, so I was just wondering if it was pulling
So-
letter B.
So let's try blue. Because if it's searching everywhere, then it should return us everyone that has blue eyes or blue hair or blue skin. We get nothing.
There's obviously no data in blue.
But I still got a 200.
The wild card stuff's still there.
I don't know if I'll work. So we'll come back to that. But yeah, it's still there because we notice we're not getting anything back or count as 0, but it still worked. So we're like, hey, it worked. You just didn't do it right.
did you search like eyes.blue? Or is it still just name? And you can't change it from searching name?
It's just name.
Okay.
You have to treat APIs as black boxes. Like, I can't go in, like, that'd be awesome. I want to find everyone who has blue eyes. But
It's not set up that way.
it's not set up that way. So you would have to write something that gets all people and then filters it down yourself. So, like, just to kind of do it real fast, we could get all people, all 87 people. Then we can do our filter, because it's just an array, to get where eyes equal blue.
But eyes has to be a key.
Yeah, eyes has, if eyes are inside the data.
But you'd have to pull all the data down to do that.
Yep. Which isn't unusual, not ideal, but it's not unusual.
So technically, well, not technically, but you should bring down the schema. Then you know what you look for.
Mm-hmm. I always pull down one to see what I'm looking for. And that's why I'm doing this here. Like, I want to see, like, what's my data coming, like, what structure am I coming in? Because we're in JavaScript, which is a dynamic language, like, this doesn't matter. This could change willy-nilly for all we care. If we're in more of, like, a more static language, like C#, then we have to actually write classes that define what structure that we're looking for. But that's a different problem for week 6. So let's build this. So in order for me to search, I want the user to type something in, right? And to type something in, that's going to be a input. So over here inside of our HTML, let's change this up.
You don't like Star Wars.
Me? I actually really like Star Wars.
Yes.
I think he's waiting for guests.
Oh, I know. We're going to do a section for now. We're going to do a input, give you a class of input. And then we'll have a button, give you a class of search button. Okay, and just as before, actually, what you know what we're gonna do? We're gonna use a new event, so we're gonna add a new event here, document.query selector, input, dot add event listener, blur. That's something new, huh? Yep, so blur is the opposite of focus. So focus is whenever I click inside of it. Blur is whenever the focus leaves the field. So whenever I click off the field, it's kind of search.
What's the difference between on change and blur?
Not much.
Do you have to click?
Yep.
Or just go outside?
But it's when you,
It's when I go out of it. Yep. Yep.
So no clicking, not even. Alright, let's just.
Yeah, let's see it. So we're gonna do console dot cons user input equals document dot query selector input dot value, and then console.log user input. I know I skipped a step. We should have made sure that it worked and everything, but I'm getting greedy. So now, head over here, yarn start. Bring up the console. Who does?
one, because he's annoying.
Have you heard the theory about Jar Jar?
He's like the real villain.
He's actually, so, side tangent.
Yeah,
Because it's such
stop
a really,
recording.
such a really cool theory. No, I can love this. So the theory is that, so let's take a step back and look at Yoda for a second. Yoda was a creature that seemed insignificant. Whenever they introduced him, he was kind of like bobbing around. He wasn't like taken seriously at all. So we'll put that knowledge in our back pocket. Because Yoda turned out to be like the master of everything. Now let's look at Sith Lords. Well, a common trait of Siths is that they're shown normally with yellow eyes, right? We're going to put that fact in our back pocket.
Okay.
Now we have Jar Jar Binks, a unusual creature that's introduced as extremely bobbly and has yellow eyes. Not to mention the fact that his performances during fights were ridiculously awesome. Like he took down like an entire army pretty much by himself. He used a fighting style that is traditionally like the monkey style, like a drunken monkey. Yeah, like that's an actual fighting style. So like the theory goes, knowing all of that stuff, we have a superpowered person who is bobbling around and has traits of a Sith. Knowing all of that, they're saying that the original storyline was Lucas intended Jar Jar to be the actual big baddie of the prequels, but because he was received so poorly, they had to like veer out and change everything. Yeah, craziest theory. I love it.
That is a great theory.
It's-
And would have redeemed them.
Yeah, like
People should drink the monkey. I thought it was more like dumb luck. Those people who
exactly. He's
happen to
bumbling.
do
Yeah.
something
Never seen a Jackie Chan movie?
happens to work out.
Yeah, like that's the whole thing. Like it was supposed to set up like, oh, he's this bumbling idiot that can't do anything with dumb luck, but he knows exactly what he's doing.
I want to see him fight Yoda.
Yeah, me too. Anyways, we notice that whenever we're here, and I type in something, whenever I click off of it, my event fires, and now I got it. So that's awesome. Now I want to take whatever they inputted and search their API. Sound good so far?
Mhm.
So this is where fetch comes into play. So now,
Trying to make such a thing work.
fetch is going to work. I swear. Fetch. Fetch takes one parameter. Today it takes one parameter, a string. And that string is what?
You are
Yoda.
Yep. HTTPS : hit over here. I'm going to grab this whole URL here.
Now we don't want R2 on there, right?
I don't change that.
You're right.
So we want to change that to whatever the, so
Yep.
user input.
So even though this is a URL, at the end of the day, it's just a string. And what can we do with strings? We can build strings, right? We can concatenate. So now we can do const URL equals and plus user input.
Oops, snap.
But
What?
Powerful.
Yeah, this is nice. Like you can dynamically build URLs all day long. Because remember, this is just a string. Yes, it's URL. Yes, it has a lot of meaning to us, and eventually we'll to fetch. But between us and fetch, we can do a lot of stuff with it. Feeling good so far? So I'm going to send out this code.
It's red. It's red.
Fetch is not defined. We're going to ignore that for now.
Or you can just ignore the red line. I need to know how to do that.
Yeah. I mean, it's in the video. I'm not going to tell you how to do it. Yep.
Ignore this.
Ignore all.
Right?
No,
So, since remember, fetch returns a promise, and I want to act once that promise is fulfilled. And that promise, just to say it again, is fetch going to this URL, getting that data, and bringing us back that request. So it's going all the way over to the servers and then coming back. Once it comes back, we want to run some code. For now, let's print it to the console to see what it is. So response console.log response.
So dot then on a new line is just a, it doesn't have to be.
It doesn't have to be there. Yeah. This dot then could be there. It could be there. It could be there. It should probably be there because this then will be a little bit bigger. The next then will be a bit bigger, and just kind of for code readability standpoints. You should put it on a new line, but it doesn't have to be. Sound good so far?
In your example, in the previous presentation, you did a conditional with that. didn't
Yes, and we're going to be building this out. We're just not quite there yet. We're just seeing it work, and then we'll build it out.
do you need to account for spaces? Luke Skywalker, Space Skywalker, or
I don't. Their API does.
okay.
I'm literally just the messenger here.
Okay.
I'm just hanging. My user's typing for Luke Skywalker or Luke's. You know what's coming back from you. It's the same sort of black box issue we had before. So over here, I don't need you. Star Wars.
Okay. Cars. Redirected false.
Of course, redirection false. This is our first real look to what metadata comes back with a request. So we have the body used false, headers empty, okay true, redirected false, so not bounced over to any other server. Status of 200, no status text because it was a 200. Type cores. Cores just means that we're making a request from a different domain. So our domain is what? Localhost 3000. Their domain is what? Swappy.co. So that's two different domains talking to each other. So that's a CORS request. CORS stands for Cross Origin Request. Service syndrome, something. I actually forget what the S stands for. but it pretty much means like you're crossing origins. And the URL that we actually hit was this URL. So we know some stuff about the request already, right? It was a success, it did something. You notice we can't see the body yet though, right? We haven't parsed out the body, we're just looking at the package.
You're looking at the metadata.
Yes. So like this is the equivalent of like if I ordered a package from Amazon and it came to my doorstep, I've now picked it up and looked at it. I saw who it's from, who it's addressed to. Is it in good condition? Is it in bad condition? Is it open? Is it not open?
Covered anything with your search term?
That's where whatever they're spinning you back.
So this is what we wanted to happen?
Yeah, this is right. Yeah.
We're gonna use JSON to open that.
Yes, we're going to use our .json to make a new promise to actually parse the data. We ready to do that?
Yes.
Yes, okay. So here, this is where the if statement happens, whoever said that. If response dot status equals 200, then we want to return ref.json, ref.json. Else we want to display an error message. Whatever that is, we're in our UI in about half an hour. Sound good so far? Now we've returning a promise, so now we want to do something with that promise. So .then. Now this is going to be our actual search results. So I'm going to name this results, search results. Give it a more semantic meaning other than just data or JSON or something like that. Then I'm going to console.log, search results, search results. So now it'll actually get us the actual stuff that we typed back. Feeling good so far?
You already told if the status is okay, open it.
Yep.
And show it to me.
Yep.
Well, show it to me after.
If the package looks good and if everything's fine, I want to open it.
So just to be clear, because you're using two different names, response.json refers to search results at the bottom?
Yep. So this is going to kick us down to this line right here.
How does it know, what if you had a third then? How does it know that that JSON refers to that search result?
So this line right here, let's dissect it a little bit. The rest.json returns a promise. And that promise says, hey, whenever I'm done, I'm going to be giving you a parsed JSON object. So since we're returning that, that return is kicking us out of that function. We're saying this function's done. So now we have a promise that we have to respond to. So it's going to go to the next event.
So it's basically a stack?
Yep.
Okay.
Let's see if this works. Or what this prints out. So I type for B. My response is that. My search results is this. You got a list of objects, 10 of them. There's 19. There's a next. If we had to look at this next, what we have to guess that this next is?
Page 2.
It's page 2.
Oh, so there's 10 on this page and then 9 on the next page.
Yep.
This is how you get your search results?
So if I go to page 2, I make a request to this page. And I get the next set of 10.
What is next? Ampersand?
Right here? Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's an ampersand.
So would you have to do like, would you have to figure out how many pages there were?
Yeah.
to show them all the results.
That's a good kind of like brain team. So like, how do I go from here? How do I get how many pages 19 is?
19 divided by 10. And then, well,
Well, depending on the results.
math,
But-
oh,
Yeah, so you have to do a little bit of math to get the number of pages, or just have a giant next button, or a load more button. So we have our results. So let's display them.
So would you loop through the list?
Yep, just loop through the list and add stuff to the DOM. So let's add stuff to the DOM. We need someplace to add to the DOM. Placeholder, search by name, section, results. So that will give you UL dot search results. Not research, nope, results. Come over here, const. And this is using the exact same techniques we've been doing so far. Finding the parent. And then search results dot, oh no, it's gone.
parent dot.
Results. No results. Dot for each. Person and results. I want to add it to the DOM. So const li equals new. Nope. So I want to get their name, so it's person. Dot name. That's easy enough. Dot name, and then yep, parent dot append child li. Nothing too nuts here, right? For each loop, creating an element, appending to the DOM. All things that we've done before. Instead of just using a data source like an array of cards up top, our data source is now up in the cloud.
And you knew you could use for each because it was in array.
Yes. So if I do a search for L, ta-da! Just some names.
Big star letter.
That's a really cool last name. Darklighter? Sorry.
Yeah. So is first.
That's true.
It is. Like Skywalker is actually a cool name. It's just been kind of polluted by Paul commercial. What's up?
Why couldn't I get the data on the first round of my fetch, my den? It seems like you have to get the metadata,
Yep.
and basically do another promise to get the data that you want.
Because we don't know how long that person's going to take, and we don't want the person to freeze up the browser.
No, but the return, when you said, print out the return,
Yeah.
it just gave you the metadata.
Yes.
Why didn't it give you the actual data, the name, whatever?
Because we haven't parsed the body yet. We haven't actually opened the package yet. I'm going to say that we're getting the package. That opening the package may take a long time. I mean, these JSONs are relatively small. They're relatively simple. But as you get more and more into it, we don't know how long it's going to take. And we don't want to freeze up the UI.
So it's showing 10 of them.
the search parameter,
Yeah.
you can't customize that, right?
What do you mean customize it? What do you want to do?
Like, let's say you wanted L, but you only wanted the names that started with L. Like the first name starts with L, because you're getting Lars, which is
Right.
the last name. So, can you change how the search parameter acts? No, because that's all the API.
That search is a black box.
Okay. But you can display only things
Yep.
on your side.
Yep.
So like in the append child, like that section, you would do a filter.
Yeah, you could, yeah. But then like you're only just displaying then like 2 per page, or anywhere from 0 to 10 per page.
That's true.
So as a user, if I get a blank page when I search for L, but I get a next button see more results. They're like, yeah, like what's going on? So like if you wanted to restrict it, it'd be doing the exact same thing that those two thought about. It's like we have to pull down everything and implement our own search on our own database, on our own object, which is possible.
So you just leave it.
Yeah. So
It's got a few names.
yeah, like that's fine.
So that, we could have used, to get these names, we could have used like Chris said, a filter, also a reduce, to just restrict what, to
A filter, not a reduce.
When you're doing the .json on the response.
Yep.
What is it actually calling that method on? What key value pair up there?
So whenever I'm calling this,
Mhm.
that is a function that's on response up here. It's on the metadata.
So it's on all of them.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. It's not on like just
It's-
the proto or just the URL.
Right. Like actually, if I expand the proto, I believe it's there.
Oh, bottom. Oh, maybe.
Yeah.
Jason.
Right there. You can see it's a function that has some arguments. Actually,
So any of those things you can call.
yeah. So I can call it.
Clone.
I can call it .clone. I can call it like rest.clone, rest.form data, rest.headers, rest.text. I'm just saying, hey, the body of my request that I'm getting from the server, I know is JSON. So parse it for me as JSON.
And that's the viewer we installed?
Yeah.
Just so it can read it.
Yeah. Yep.
So otherwise, it would just
Be like,
be all over the
it'd be like a
Okay.
mess.
It puts it into,
Something that we can easily understand. Because we can read JSON easily enough. Like it makes enough sense for people, but the formatting is nuts.
Could we take advantage of all those functions in there, get by use, get type as text?
You could if they solved your problem, whatever you're trying to do. But 95% of the time, you're going to be using JSON. I put money on that. You'd be using JSON the most.
And the other thing is, can we take advantage, say we create a function and we want to know what event is kicking off, we can take advantage of Proto to figure it out. Like there was something like I wanted to know what button was clicked.
Yes.
I can look into Proto and then see some type of
Yeah.
value.
Yep.
Okay.
That's a conversation for a different day.
Yeah, and I just wanted to
But
make
yes.
sure that I
There's a lot of stuff. So this proto is stuff that's included in a lot of different things. But yeah, we're not going to worry about that today. APIs. That's cool. So now we'll do an add. We have our search,
For the icon.
commit. Basic search is working. So if we also wanted to add the eye color, do a little bit more there. What would we do? We would elaborate here, right?
Plus personalized.
So now maybe we want person name and the eye color below it. So let's give it const name equals document dot create element. It's going to be, we'll give this h4 name.text content equals person.name. Name symbol eye color. Make that an h6. Person.eye color. You notice how I'm using whatever key they have. So even though their key, this uses snake case, it's the underscores, I still have to use it. And now my text content, my li, I'm going to actually append child name and append child eye color. So I'm creating a DOM to hold the name, a DOM to hold the eye color, putting those into an li, and putting that li inside of a parent.
You can't just do name plus eye color. Or like you
I
can
mean,
just make a string out of it if you
I
want.
If I wanted to, I could, but I'd rather work with elements. So now if we search, and now even better, to take it one step further, if I wanted to style them based on their eye color, or hair color or eye color. What do hair color? I can add each li dot class list dot add person dot hair color. Then over in the CSS dot blonde, make you color yellow, brown color light brown. No, there's no light brown. Brown. What other hair colors? What? Black.
Gray, white,
Color.
gold,
Black there,
red,
and
Red. Color red. And then
Multicolor.
gray color. Gray. So now we have a predicament, right? We're trying to add hair colors based on their data. But we don't know what their data is, actually. This kind of gets a little weird. So unless there's a way for us to get all of it, which there is, we'd have to just kind of do almost trial and error. So like, here's the kind of the common ones. Let's use these and see what happens. And good news, because our browsers are forgiving, if we have a class that doesn't have a CSS to it, it's still fine. It'll still be black. So we do a search for L. Ah,
I think it's because you put hair color. Oh, you didn't.
so, aha. So there's a comma there.
it's because she got old in the other movies.
Yeah, she did.
She did.
She did.
She lived
It says male.
Oh, this is Owen.
Oh,
That's
it
not,
is.
That's not Leia, it's Owen.
Oh. He got old in the movies too.
He did not last long.
Well,
Spoiler, sorry. So, how do we fix this? Now our data is coming back in a weird format. How do we fix this?
Can we add another one?
We can, what?
Add another one with brown and comma at the end?
So we could, but the issue is that now that comma is not good CSS. Like it's going to break when we get to the page. That's the actual error. So we need to remove that comma somehow. So we have a split. How would we do it?
You just split and a comma, split with a comma inside of parentheses.
You could splice.
We could splice. We could find the index with the first comma and then splice it out. Actually, I'm open to ideas. I mean, I know how I would solve it.
This is their data, right?
Yeah, this is their data, so we have to work with their data.
Well, if you split it with the comma inside of it, it'll split it at the comma and just say, you'll have an array that has brown, a string of brown,
Yep.
and a string of gray.
Yep.
Right?
And then you just search on the first and zero.
So we could give it just one class, just whatever the first one is, right?
Don't do that because then you need to have two Owens. So it displays one in brown, one in gray, so that would be.
We could separate that out and say if there's multiple there, display each one.
Can't you just just take out the, extract the comma and just have an entity of brown gray?
I could replace the comma with a space. That's also a valid solution. You can give it both classes.
Maybe create a default color, and then if it's not in the right form, or if it doesn't meet the specific colors you put, just put a color, the default color.
I could. That's also a thing. Let's split it on the comma, and then just use the last one. So in this case, let's do gray.
Like mine.
Yep. So a couple of new words in there. Split, right? That's a new word. We did.
The code words.
So what does split do?
Splits,
Separates string and array.
Okay. So
It splits.
hair color. Let's give us some white space here. So hair color. So it's splits, right? So person.hair color dot split. What do we want to split on?
You want to split it
Comma
in
space.
the comma,
Comma space.
common gray.
I just figured out my code.
See, aha. So do you want to do comma or comma space?
I think it's just
There's
comma.
always gonna be a
It's just
space.
Ooh,
Comma.
I'll do comma space.
If you get the second element though, it's gonna have space, comma, or hair color. So
It will.
really works.
Will it? You think?
I don't think so.
I think it will.
I'm gonna go in your word. More than me.
I've been wrong before.
Really?
Yes? I'm always wrong.
You're off my hackathon team.
Yeah, it's okay. I'll just beat whatever team you go to. It's okay. So we have person.haircolor.split. So now we have an array. So I want to grab the last one. How do I grab the last one? Oh, yeah, I could pop.
Pop, yeah, just pop.
I could pop.
That's cool. I like that.
Yeah. That's all right. That was easy enough. Now we want to.
You've done something that length -1.
Yeah, you could have something that length -1, but yeah, I like pop better. Gold star for whoever said that. Was that you? Nice. I like it.
It just popped in.
Yeah. No pun intended.
Yep.
Ooh.
Take space.
So it didn't
Woo! So how do I fix this?
Put a space after the comma.
Get rid of the first space.
Wait a minute, can you do a trim?
So this is something in part of the language. Trim will take a string and remove all leading space and all end space. So if we had space, gray, space, and we trim it, it's not just give us gray.
Caveat to that, and I don't know about JavaScript, but if you have multiple spaces, it only takes the one right after the last character, right?
I believe it takes them all.
Then,
Except for
No one
Owen.
has blonde hair?
And it's gray.
Yes.
I thought it was brown and gray.
These are eye colors.
That's misleading.
Well, that's like that. You have to read the colors and they show a different color than we have, the letters. So you try that?
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
That is kind of trippy though, right?
Did it trim the space of your eyes?
I didn't put it there. So yeah, now we're reading data in from an API. We're parsing it. We're using it to style our page. How do we feel with APIs now?
It takes practice.
Practice, yeah.
It's a little bit of practice. It's we even stumbled on a few of those hurdles already, like the speed bumps of dealing with APIs. I want to change the functionality of it. Our data is coming back in a weird format that I have to deal with. No APIs are perfect. There is a little bit of struggle there. Excuse me, but that's perfectly fine. That's natural.
And I don't know if you mentioned this, but what if you had two search criterias? You can do that. Right now we're only searching on one item.
I don't think we can. Because that's the search that they provide. We're using their API for.
Because we can only search their name.
Yep. If we wanted to search by other things, we have to pull down the whole data set and then build our own search for it.
Do most JavaScript methods like pop, trim, all those, do they all return whatever was put into it? So like, okay, because like pop, you give it an array, it pops out whatever the item was.
Yep.
But because you did pop and then trim.
Yep.
So would there be a difference to doing trim and then pop?
Yes.
Because you'd be trimming the array.
Correct.
Okay. So you have to do trim last.
You have to do it in that right order. So what Chris is saying is this right here. So I'm chaining methods right here. I'm chaining functions. I'm going, hey, give me person hair color. Then I'm going to split it, which gives me an array. Then I'm going to pop off the last one, which gives me a string. And then I'm going to trim it. I can't flip these two or do it in any other order. I have to do it in this order.
So basically, tell me what you want me to do first.
Yep.
Then tell me what you want me to do second.
Yep.
And then tell me what you want me to do third.
Yep.
So would it crash if you do it the other way around, or just give you a different result?
You wouldn't be able to trim an array, I don't think.
Yeah, it would crash because trim doesn't exist. It would say can't do trim on prototype arrays.
The function has to exist in the object.
Yep. So, APIs, very fun and exciting. This actually is kind of fun and exciting because you can actually build stuff now using other people's data. So, speaking of building something with other people's data, for tonight's homework, you'll be building for me a little page, a one pager, that has a search box that uses a weather API to search weather for a given location. So I can type in a zip code, 33716, and I get whatever weather is there right now.
Just zip code?
I could type in St. Petersburg and get whatever weather is in St. Petersburg.
Do we want it all in the same search bar? Or should we have?
That'd be, in the same search bar would be preferable, but not required. The UI is up to you. If you want to have two different search bars, you can. As long as I can search by city and by zip code.
Will we be given an API?
Yes, openweather.org. I believe that's what it is.
Okay.
When we learned about the question mark parameter thing, we don't have to do any of that. But we do. Okay, that's this though.
Yes, that's why we did this.
But the API creates the structure to put it in, but you just use it. That's it.
So, just curious about this API. It's the weather API, so it's constantly being updated.
You don't have to worry about it. Yep, it's giving me the weather right now. That's the beauty of the API is that like we don't have to worry about like as soon as we make that request, it's always going to give us the latest data.
Can you revisit the search syntax? The question mark is the first
Perimeter.
parameter, but if the second parameter is with an and,
Ampersand, yeah.
ampersand.
Yep.
So that API is glued to something
Understood.
else.
Yeah, they're doing something behind the scenes.
I'll touch base with you.
Alright, we're feeling good, I'm feeling good. This is normally a fun one because you're actually seeing like real data. Something more than like blackjacking. So, homework will be out soon. I am in a team meeting until 1 o'clock, so I'm unavailable. Then I have a couple of one-on-ones this afternoon, but Jason, I believe, is also here to ask questions and bounce ideas on. Enjoy your lunch.